Let's talk about WikiLeaks.
All right.
So, you're like a WikiLeaks confidant, I guess, or like, how would you describe yourself in that capacity? We're talking about Trump, mind you, too. I'm tying it together.
I don't know. I'm a friend of Julian's. I'm a longtime supporter. I've covered them extensively. I've written hundreds of articles about WikiLeaks. Yeah, I don't know.
You were saying before, like, if it wasn't for the riots, you wouldn't have voted for Trump because of what happened to Assange.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody is, going after your friend, would you?
Well, what did Trump do? So let me start real quick, just for people who might not be aware. WikiLeaks is essentially just a news publication.
Right.
The core of it is they take leaks, whistleblowers, and they publish. All news outlets do this. Well, not all, but most. But news outlets also will write, like, it rained today and there's like a cat in the tree. But they'll take leaks. The New York Times writes about a bunch of different things, including leaks. WikiLeaks focuses on.
They all use software based on WikiLeaks now to get anonymous submissions.
Right, the Dropbox stuff.
Yeah.
So Julian Assange has basically been detained forcibly under house arrest, sort of. He was in the Ecuadorian embassy for a long time. Mm-hmm. When they finally are like dropping the charges, the U.S. swoops in and arrests him, and now they're trying to extradite him. And I don't know how much I'm supposed to say. Well, they read your testimony, right?
Yeah, it's online.
Trump did it.
Yeah.
Trump is the one who ordered Assange's arrest. I don't get it. Trump said he loved WikiLeaks. And now all of a sudden, he's putting Assange through all of this.
Well, I think Trump surrounded himself with a lot of very, very bad people.
John
we
Bolton.
had Bolton, Pompeo. He hired a lot of Bushies, It's not the same Republican Party as the Trump people. And those people certainly don't care about a free press. But yeah, he ordered it. And Jennifer Robinson recently testified too that, there was a meeting and they offered Julian Assange a pardon in exchange for giving up his source.
On the DC email leaks.
Right.
Or the DNC.
Yes.
Or was it the DCCC? Or it was the DNC, right?
The DNC leaks.
So Julian Assange came to possess emails from the DNC. Mm-hmm. And it was very, very bad for the Democrats.
Yes.
And Donald Trump wants to know how he got this.
Well, Donald Trump's whole I can't talk. His whole presidency has been plagued by Russia. Everything's Russia. You won because of Russia. And so by finding out WikiLeaks source, because Julian's repeatedly said it wasn't a state actor, and he's a very honest man, he would finally be able to put that to bed.
It would clear Trump.
It would clear his name.
This is a really tough question. It's a really difficult ethical conundrum. Julian Assange can't give up his sources.
No.
It would discredit everything he's ever done. It would destroy the organization, and it would put at risk his sources.
Yeah. So
I think a lot of people, there's the conspiracy theory of who leaked to it, who leaked the information to WikiLeaks. But assuming that I guess the conspiracy theory is Seth Rich. They claim that Seth Rich did it. But the media claims it was Russia. I guess it was what intelligence agencies claimed it was Russia as well.
Right.
But Assange said absolutely not. Then who was that other guy who claimed it was not Russia because he received the documents from someone?
Former ambassador Craig Murray.
Craig Murray said that.
Yeah.
So it's either at this point I have no idea who it could have been. Maybe Craig Murray, Assange, they're both lying. Maybe the theories are wrong, or maybe there's someone we don't know about, and if Assange gave him up, it would put this person's life in jeopardy, and Assange won't give up that information.
Right, and it could have been multiple people. He's not going to tell anyone, and he shouldn't, and he doesn't owe anybody that. People are like, well, he needs to do this because our democracy is falling apart, and it's like he doesn't owe you anything. He gave you the information to make an informed decision about your election. And then everybody forgot about him and left him in an embassy for 2 more years to rot while Trump was president and could have pardoned him.
Yep.
Why does he owe anybody anything? And so when he refused the deal, WikiLeaks lawyers argued that that's when they decided to prosecute him.
Because now they're going to take him by force and force him to give it up.
Right.
And that's a violation of ethics. And it really is a challenge because I feel that part of me where it's like, if we can get confirmation that it really wasn't Russia, that would destroy, maybe not completely because the establishment lies all the time and we know, like they were wrong completely about Russia, and we know that. But if we figured out who this person really was, assuming this person, whatever we could learn about that person, that could change everything and be a major, powerful tool in stopping the psychopaths who are destroying our cities, who are romping through our streets, who are infecting our cultural institutions. It feels like Assange might hold the key, a powerful tool to ending what the left is doing and help restore America back to where it used to be if we could just get the truth about what happened.
Yeah, but
However,
that's not his responsibility. He's not even American.
I know.
He doesn't owe anybody any favors. Nobody in America did him any favors.
And this is why I'm like, this is Donald Trump's absolute America first. That he would be like, Assange is an American and he needs the information for America. But also I gotta say, for himself too. It would exonerate him.
Right.
It would disprove a lot of this nonsense. Even though it's already been mostly like proven to be bunk. We'll see what happens with the Durham report. I'm wondering if we're even going to see any. I don't think anything's going to happen with Durham. I got to give context for the people who might not understand. So we have John Durham is investigating the Obama administration and intelligence agency individuals for, I guess, how would you describe it? Like, I guess the official way is understanding how Russiagate started. Although they've already issued one criminal indictment, I think, right? That lawyer who altered the email for claiming that Carter Page wasn't actually a CIA source or something. So, and this story is so hard to talk about. You know what really scares me about all of this?
What?
To truly explain to someone the context around Julian Assange, what his information means, why he has to protect it, why Trump is going at it. There's like 50 billion stories beneath all of that. It's so difficult.
Yeah. It's very, very challenging. I've been trying to explain my testimony to some friends of mine and things who don't really follow it. They only really know WikiLeaks because of the election. And it's just like an onion. Like there's so many layers you have to explain for each little bit of my statement. Like it was very complicated because a lot of people only know WikiLeaks from 2016. They don't remember, or they were too young, or they weren't paying attention, or it was just the wrong side politically when the Manning leaks came out. So
was that collateral murder?
Yeah.
That was
in the war logs.
So like in Vietnam, they embedded journalism and people could see how horrible it was, the casualty rate on both sides in friendly fire. And then so they pulled journalism out of the military for the first Iraq invasion, basically, or war.
They pulled it out?
Yeah, they don't want they put journalists in there only as like faux journalism to make it look good.
Yeah.
So seeing this collateral murder thing, you see how it was just civilian strike, like people just die. Like,
that was Obama.
Yeah, that was Obama's drone.
Right? That was Obama?
It was like
no.
That was before Obama. That was
2010 or something. Oh, it was before.
So it came out
during
Obama. The footage was from Bush.
It was like a helicopter gunship mowing down civilians that they thought were camera. They thought a camera was a gun. They opened fire on all these civilians.
Yeah, Manning described it as like watching a child torturing ants with a magnifying glass because they were shooting them from the helicopter and laughing. Yeah.
And that's
powerful
war
stuff.
That's military. You know, they have to have fun. They have to joke about it.
Yeah. Otherwise, you'd go crazy.
Donald Trump talked about pardoning Edward Snowden. Snowden is the NSA leaker who gave all of these files to Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras, The Intercept, and Donald Trump entertained pardoning him. Don't you think there's a possibility, or do you think there's a possibility he might, after he gets reelected, finally be like, okay, you know what?
Well, I mean, I guess I should explain what my testimony was about today.
So this is kind of crazy. You submitted testimony in the trial against Julian Assange.
No, I wasn't against him. I was for the defense.
No, I mean that the trial is the trial.
The
against
trial,
him.
yeah.
You submitted evidence supporting Assange in his ongoing trial, extradition trial, right?
Yes. So I was supposed to testify, but the UK court's very different, and the prosecutor for the US didn't want to cross-examine me, which is pretty awesome. Like, he was scared. But so instead, they didn't have to have me speak. They didn't want me to speak. And so the deal was that the lawyers would read my statement. It's the same thing they did with Jennifer Robinson and a few other witnesses. But I had an 8-page statement and a transcript of some phone calls and things that were submitted, and they read that in open court today. And basically, in October 2018, I interviewed Julian Assange's mom, Christine. Lovely woman. Highly recommend following her on Twitter. But she was calling for a pardon for her son. Like, no big deal, normal article. And at the time, I was in a DM group with a whole bunch of conservative influencers and people in the Trump campaign and, close to the administration. Ambassador Rick Grinnell was in it, Arthur Schwartz, just a lot of powerful people and reporters and things, and just people in the campaign would post things in there that they wanted people to share or that they wanted people to see. So, no brainer, I put it in there, hoping maybe I would find a sympathetic ear. I didn't. So 10 minutes later, I get this crazy call from Arthur Schwartz, who was doing communications for Rick Grinnell. I believe he still does. And if you Google him, he's known as Donald Trump Jr.'s fixer. And he's yelling at me. And we've always been friendly. So I'm like, what is going on? And he starts saying that a pardon's never going to happen, that they're going to go into the embassy to arrest Julian, that they're charging Julian based on the Manning release, not on DNC leaks or Vault 7, that he was a horrible person, and I didn't know all the terrible things that happened because of him. And he was saying that, if you really understood this, you wouldn't be supporting him anymore. And people will understand that you've supported him up until now because you didn't know. But now that you know, if you continue reporting him, basically you can't be in the cool crowd. You're not going to, you're going to be.
What were you supposed to know? Or what was he claiming you knew now?
He was just telling me that he was a bad person, that WikiLeaks got people killed, which is not true. I mean, the Pentagon testified that was not true during the Manning trial, and the prosecution said that's not true during this trial. But
could it be the Pentagon was lying because they don't want to reveal that they were compromised?
Possibly. I couldn't really speculate on that. But I argued with him that it was false, and I was like, they testified that that's not true. And the U.S. government has said that's not true in the extradition case still. But he was insistent that Julian had done all these bad things. He had got people hurt, that he was reckless. He was comparing him to a drunk driver, saying that he was selfish and had no regard for other people. And that it was basically if you keep supporting this guy, you're not going to be in the cool MAGA club in D.C. anymore. You're going to be... You're not going to get scoops. We're not going to share Gateway Pundit. We're not, it was an odd conversation. Huh?
Do you say F you?
Yeah, well, I kept baiting him because I wanted more information. So I was like, tell me more, tell me more. Keep telling me more. At one point I did start to cry though, because he was screaming at me that Julian was going to spend the rest of his life in prison and that it wasn't journalism. And I was getting very frustrated, and I was saying, if you go into an embassy and rip him out, he's a political refugee technically. You'd be committing an act of war. And he was like, not if they let us. And so, I mean, I care about this case very deeply, and so it was upsetting to me. But as soon as I got off the phone, I think I called Chelsea, and I was like, hey, I think they're coming after you. And then I went and I told Julian in person, and the State Department they were surveilling our meetings, so they heard everything that I told him. And Arthur, when I got back, Arthur told me that there was a State Department investigation and that he couldn't tell me anything anymore because I had told Julian. He knew that I told Julian. And there's like a mosquito, but the woods.
Yep.
But yeah,
they eventually went and pulled him out.
Yeah, so they went and pulled him out, and I hit up Arthur again, and I was like, hey, you knew this was going to happen. Can you tell me what's going on? And he was like, he deserves the death penalty. Everyone involved with WikiLeaks deserves the death penalty. Completely unhinged. And a few days after that, I think it was like April 15th, and he was arrested on the 11th. There was an article in ABC News, and it said that it was like buried way down in this article, said that Rick Grinnell is the one who had worked out the deal for Julian's arrest. And so suddenly I was like, oh, that's how Arthur knew all this stuff that he told me in October. And I hit him up and I was like, hey, is this how you knew that? And he was like, and then, kept ranting about him being, deserving the death penalty. And the article also said that Grinnell only got a verbal pledge that there would be no death penalty. So I pointed that out, and he was like, well, he deserves,
What could he possibly get the death penalty for?
If they try and claim that people did get hurt, if they add new charges.
But Julian's not an American.
Well, the UN has warned repeatedly that they believe there's a chance that the U.S. could try and execute him because they could add terrorism charges, espionage charges, Patriot Act stuff. I mean, there's a slew of things that they could throw at him.
I gotta say, I'm convinced. Like, I understand. Trump is going after him because I think Trump wants to win the fight. He wants evidence that the story was bunk, and he probably wants to help himself. But I can only imagine if Joe Biden gets in, they'll kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, Hillary Clinton joked about droning him.
I don't think she was joking.
Well, I should clarify that.
She laughed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because she's evil.
But it
not
is
because it was a joke.
You realize Julian's in London, right? Like he's a couple blocks away from this really big shopping mall. It's like his famous mall. It's like down the street. It's like literally around the corner.
I think
you can't drone London. If Joe Biden gets in, the left absolutely hates WikiLeaks right now for some reason. Like, I guess because of Trump, because they think WikiLeaks was working for the Russians. That is an incredible, incredible flip. I remember back in the day, Julian Assange, hero of the left, anti-establishment, anti-war, exposing the war crimes. And then all it took was some intelligence asset individuals to go on MSNBC and say, oh, actually, that guy you like, Russia, he helped Trump. And then snap. Yeah. All of a sudden, now they're like, let him burn. You love this guy, man.
But Trump was the one who ordered his arrest, at least according to Arthur.
Even Trump said he loves WikiLeaks.
Yeah, but he ordered his arrest. And people should be putting pressure on him to free him. Just saying.
I think Julian Assange, the story, is a modern day assassination story. And what I mean by that is we're not in the times where information was scarce. There's phones everywhere. There's somebody watching all the time. And if they went to get Julian in a major first world city, then it would be a serious high-profile circumstance where it would make a martyr. They don't want to make a martyr. So what ends up happening is character assassination, absurd indictments. Then he gets arrested, so he knows they're going to try and extradite him. He was right the whole time. Julian went to the Ecuadorian embassy because he thought he was going to get extradited, right?
Yep.
And then sure enough, once they finally got him out, they were trying to extradite him.
And the media painted him as crazy for years. They were like, he has no reason to think this. He could walk out anytime. I mean, I had spent years arguing with people about this. People would tweet at me constantly being he could leave anytime. He's not under arrest. He could leave whenever he wants. And Julian would always be like, no, I can't though. Yep. And he was right. And
there was so I actually met with him several years ago, and there was like a creepy black van chilling out in front. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure like as soon as I walked anywhere near that building, I'm pretty sure as soon as I got the message, the email, like they immediately just ripped apart all of my, personal emails, all my files, like all the intelligence agencies from all these different companies, the Five Eyes Spy Club.
Did you take your phone to the embassy? Did they take your phone back then?
They did, yeah.
Yeah. They took my phone. I didn't bring it for the later visits. I think the first visit I did. But they made you give all the numbers and everything, and they hold it up there. They were spying that whole time. Yeah. Like, they were using your phone. All these journalists who got spied on, there's only, like, one who's even saying anything like, hey, you guys spied on me. What the hell?
I remember that. Yeah.
All these journalists who visited him over the years, though, silent. And they got spied on by the U.S. government while speaking to a political refugee. It's insane.
Do you agree with me about Biden, though? If Biden wins, what they'll do to Assange?
Oh, yeah. I hate to even think about. I mean, I don't think that Trump is much better on this, but I do think that they will be worse.
I think Glenn Greenwald tweeted about this. Someone said, why would Donald Trump want to pardon Edward Snowden? And his response was because because Trump is mad about how the intelligence agencies and these individuals smeared him with Russia. So, yeah, he kind of wants revenge.
Right.
Isn't there a possibility like that Trump is just trying to get the information from Assange, but he wouldn't do what, say, like a Biden administration would do?
I don't know.
I mean, he offered him a pardon, Not that I agree with it. I think that's a violation, like a serious violation of journalistic freedoms and the First,
right.
For us, the First Amendment. I know Julian Assange is not an American citizen, But this is kind of scary, the idea that the U.S. government could target a foreign person. Like, same thing they did with Kim.com.
Yeah.
Like, Kim.com was not an American. Why did American resources go into New Zealand and raid this guy's house? They did the same thing to Julian Assange. It's kind of scary when you realize the true power of the United States and their allies and what they'll do if you're not an American.
Yeah. Juice Wrap News has a great video about that, where they have representatives from each government, and they're like, we're America's bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Highly recommend looking for it, though.
Yeah, but they don't do the rap news stuff anymore, Juice Media.
Yeah.
Now it's
Oh,
like
is
a
it?
lot. Like, they're I've talked to those guys before in the past, but now it's like for those who aren't familiar, Juice Rap News, or in like 2010, made some of the most amazing political commentary music videos, like kind of poking fun at, but in a sense, sort of explaining the gist of some of these things. But now it's like a lot of stuff they produce is just your generic leftist Orange Man bad.
I've only really watched that one, but
They're doing the honest
Good.
government ads now.
yeah.
And it's like,
That's what this was. This was like,
Oh, it was?
but it was a Julian Assange one.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was brilliant.
good. I respect
Spot
that.
on.
because I got to tell you, man, going back into 2010, I remember all the hacker stuff, and that's basically how I know you. It's crazy how the hacker community was like the libertarian left. Mm-hmm. They were like, it was very libertarian, period. But most of these people in the hacker community were not right wing. They were kind of libertarian, but leaning left. The government started going after these people. They started giving ridiculous charges. And Julian Assange is like the remnant of that, I guess. He's still facing this desperate attack from the U.S. government against left libertarian style, like hacker individuals. And they've successfully turned the left against WikiLeaks. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. And we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.